The chance of nothing unlikely happening is in itself unlikely. If I had a quid for every time I've dropped that truth in a video or live stream, I'll probably have enough money to buy a share in Aston Martin. Sport is inherently unpredictable, always has been, always will be. We now find ourselves 22 rounds into a 24 race season. Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, Max Verstappen, all three have found themselves on the receiving end of bad luck and good, and all three have performed excellently and also had their moments to forget. Separated by just 24 points with 2 Grand Prix and a sprint to go, you can make a genuine argument for any of them to win this title. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing in this video. My name's Tomo. Let's talk about it. Look, the doubles disqualification is one of them. Tough to accept, but it is a black and white rule. We've seen many a driver, many a team fall foul to these kind of technical infringements. This was not the first time, and it will certainly not be the last. We are talking fractions of millimeters here, but in a sport of such fine margins, that's all it takes. What is really interesting is the point swing from what should have been without the double disqualification to what is with the double disqualification. We've gone from Lando essentially wrapping up the title with a massive margin, big leeway going into the final 2 weekends to, well, not that. Remember, there's 58 points maximum available from these final 2 weekends with the 2 Grand Prix and a sprint. Without the disqualification, Lando 408 points, 30 ahead of Oscar on 378 and 42 ahead of Max on 366. That's more than an entire race win to his teammate Oscar and closer to 2 ahead of Max. Instead, he finds himself just 24 points clear of both, less than the margin of a single race victory. And it is exactly that fact that opens up the argument for all 3 of them to be in with a chance of winning this title. So let's start with the guy on top. Because I don't want to get too carried away, right? The advantage is still very much in favour of Lando Norris. 24 points might not be a bigger gap as he would have liked and felt like he deserves, but it's still significant. Say, for example, Lando finishes second in those final 2 Grand Prix and sprint, with either Oscar or Max taking all of the wins. Well, Lando still ends up being champion by 9 points. All right, what about if Lando finishes third in the 2 remaining Grand Prix and sprint, and either Max or Oscar win all the remaining races? He still wins by 2 points. He is still champion, and of course both of these scenarios neglects the fact that almost certainly Oscar and Max would, alternate positions somewhat, right? Even in those scenarios, Lando still walks away 2025 F1 world champion. It does feel like it is very much in his hands and McLaren's hands, right? Where Lando held up his end of the bargain, mostly in Vegas, whereas McLaren are the ones who let him down. But look, to all the Lando fans out there, you will be feeling stress and pressure right now, but I would say you should ultimately feel pretty positive about the way your boy's been driving as of late. He has found form at the perfect, most clutch time to find it. 4 poles in a row, dominant in Mexico and Austin, and as much as Vegas wasn't perfect, he still did more than enough given his championship position to minimise the bleed of losing P1. Lando's 1-lap pace is without a doubt his biggest strength, and I would pick him amongst the best in F1 right now over a lap. No question. And with the championship the way it is, dirty air and all, right? It's a bit of a quality championship. If Lando can just keep pumping in, even if it's front rows, I think that's going to be enough for him to get it done. I really do. And overall, I have been impressed by the growth that Norris has shown over the course of this season. He's said it himself, he's been blocking out the noise, and I think that is paying dividends. But you know what? Nothing creates noise more than a double disqualification, right? The pressure's going to be absolutely on. This is going to be the biggest challenge to date. Can Lando lock in, close everything else out, and just do the job? Because he's got the talent, no question. Can he execute on it? The ball's absolutely in your court, fella, but we cannot for a second write off the other 2 protagonists, can we? Oscar Piastri has really seemed a shadow of his earlier self as of late, hasn't it? It's very strange. Another underwhelming qualifying in Vegas adds to a stretch of, 6 weekends where just quality's been nowhere. His average over the 8 qualifying sessions we've had in the last 6 weekends, P5.13. Not good enough. It's not like he's just being outperformed by Lando. He's falling foul to Russell, Verstappen, even Leclerc and Antonelli. However, Oscar fans, I will say, there is some light at the end of the tunnel, because I think if you could pick any two Grand Prix for Oscar Piastri to finish the season strongly at, I think Qatar would certainly be one of those picks. The high downforce, medium high speed corner conditions of that circuit, very flat. It plays into his strength. His inherent driving style works around this circuit, and if there's anywhere he's going to rediscover his spark, it's here. In 2023, his debut Formula One season, he won the sprint, his first of any kind of race win in his career. He beat Lando to that punch as well. They were tight in quali, but Piastri took the sprint pole by just under a tenth to Norris. The McLarens went alternative on strategy, mediums instead of softs, saw them miss out early doors and get past. However, they made their way back through the field. Oscar P1, Max P2, Lando P3. As for normal quali in 2023, both McLarens, Lando and Oscar, fell foul to track limits. Keep an eye on track limits this year. Surely that is going to be a factor. But in the race, they allowed their pace to shine through. Oscar P2, Lando P3. Oscar was, and that probably was the only weekend of 23 that I can remember off the top of my head, where Oscar was pretty consistently just had a bit of a margin over Lando. As for 24, well, actually that was a bit of a switch, but again, very, very fine margins. First blood was to Lando. He took sprint pole and was about a tenth and a half clear of Oscar. Piastri on paper would take the sprint victory in 24. However, Lando did gift this to him to return the favour from earlier on in the season. As for normal qualifying, they were split by about half a tenth, again in Lando's favour, but it was super fine margins. And actually in the race, Lando was running P2, Oscar P4. It was advantage Norris. However, he did not respect the yellow flag, did not slow down, got a stop-go penalty, an absolute stinker of a penalty, dropped him down to P10, and Oscar finished P3. So it is certainly not the case that Oscar is consistently miles clear of Lando in Qatar, but with an extra year of experience under his helmet, and if Oscar can just practice a bit of amnesia, just completely forget the previous 22 rounds and just lock in on these last two. On paper, Qatar is absolutely an opportunity for him to get something special done, because right now Piastri is definitely the toughest argument to make for a championship winner, but if you can just put it together in Qatar, then that momentum shift will be quick, will be decisive, and he'll be absolutely in play for Abu Dhabi. Oh yeah, and talking of Abu Dhabi, in 23, Oscar marginally outqualified Lando and was a couple of tenths behind Lando last year. We never got to see his race pace last year, of course, because Max spinaled him into turn one. But would I put it past him having very good race pace in Abu Dhabi? I would not. Look at it this way, Oscar. If you at the start of the year were offered to be 24 points off of the lead with Qatar and Abu Dhabi left to go, I think he'd maybe take it. What's done is done. Play to your outs and give yourself a chance, lad. But then we come on to Max Verstappen and why Max Verstappen is a factor in this championship, because he's Max Verstappen. Do I need to say more than that? 4-time world champion, 69-time race winner, 125-time podium finisher, 47-time pole positioner, 231-time starter, Max Verstappen. It is simply impossible for Lando and Oscar to be anywhere near as mentally prepared for this final sprint to the end. He's driving with a freedom, a comfort that only comes with being a chaser for the full season and having been there, done that, got the t-shirt. He also won in Qatar last year, remember, and is the second most successful driver in F1 history at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, with 4 wins to his name. And you know what? It might be a bit of a blessing in disguise for Oscar, more so actually, that Max is in this fight, because Max exerts pressure, presence, threat, even without any mind games. The fact that Max is here and he is absolutely in contention, that's enough on its own to add a few BPM to Lando's pulse. What more do I need to say? We all know Max is the best driver in F1 right now. If anyone can get it done, it's him. Thoughts and feelings in the comments below. As always, I will see you on Wednesday for the pre-race chinwag for the 2025 Qatar Grand Prix. My name's Tomo. Thanks again. Have a good one. Ta-da.